At 67 years old, my patient Richard walked into my office with a smile I hadn't seen in decades. "Doctor, I have to confess something. My wife thinks I'm secretly taking that blue pill. She can't believe I'm the same man in bed." His secret. It wasn't chemical. It wasn't hormonal. It was something so simple that the pharmaceutical industry spends millions trying to hide it from you. I am Dr. Mario Alonso Puig. During 4 decades dedicated exclusively to men's medicine, I have witnessed a truth that few doctors have the courage to admit publicly. We are medicating symptoms while ignoring the fundamental cause of male decline after 60 years. What I discovered through 15 years of clinical research with 847 patients completely changed my view on male aging. Men who came to my office with chronic fatigue, failing memory, non-existent libido, and generalized muscle weakness all shared one common characteristic. They had all abandoned an activity that our ancestors performed naturally every day. This activity, which Richard rediscovered by chance, activates a unique neurological mechanism in the male brain, a biochemical cascade that rejuvenates cells, revitalizes blood circulation, and restores functions you believed were lost forever. The science behind this is irrefutable. I have documented hundreds of cases in my clinic. James, 64 years old, reversed his pre-diabetes in just 6 months. Charles, 59 years old, completely eliminated his blood pressure medication. Frank, 71 years old, recovered bone density to the point of confusing other doctors with his test results. But the most impressive case was Anthony, 73 years old. He came to my office using a cane with a diagnosis of early dementia and completely dependent on medication for erectile dysfunction. 6 months after implementing what I will show you in this presentation, Anthony was playing tennis twice a week, and his wife personally thanked me for the miraculous transformation in their intimate life. The most shocking part: we're not talking about expensive equipment, miracle supplements, or experimental treatments. We're talking about something that is literally within your reach right now. Something so fundamental that 90% of men completely ignore it in their search for vitality. In the next few minutes, I will reveal exactly how the world's most underestimated activity can reverse years of male decline, restore your mental energy, recover your physical strength, and yes, completely transform your sexual life, without medical prescriptions, without side effects, and without spending a penny. The inconvenient truth Big Pharma doesn't want you to know. Before revealing the complete method that transformed Richard's life and hundreds of my patients, we need to understand the inconvenient truth that no pharmaceutical laboratory wants you to discover. When a man exceeds 50 years, his body begins to send subtle signals. First, that fatigue that doesn't go away with a good night's sleep. Then, the mental fog that makes it difficult to remember names or where you left your keys. Next, muscle sluggishness, decreased physical endurance, and finally, the decline in sexual performance that many accept as normal for age. Conventional medicine treats each of these symptoms in isolation. Stimulants for fatigue, medications for memory, supplements for muscles, and of course the famous blue pill for the bedroom. A 65-year-old patient today takes on average 5 different medications per day, each treating a symptom, none addressing the fundamental cause. In 2018, I conducted research with 112 men between 60 and 75 years old who took at least 3 daily medications. You know what I discovered? 87% of them never received from their doctors a single guidance about the specific physical activity that could eliminate the need for at least 2 of those medicines. The reason is simple and disturbing. There is no profit in prescribing something free and accessible. The global pharmaceutical industry earns more than $60 billion annually just from medications aimed at male problems after 60 years. A study published in the Journal of Men's Health in 2020 revealed that for every dollar invested in research on natural methods of preserving male health, $430 are invested in pharmacological solutions. The truth I discovered over 4 decades treating exclusively mature men is that the male body was designed for a specific type of movement that has almost disappeared from modern life. This movement simultaneously activates 3 vital systems: cardiovascular, neurological, and hormonal. When these 3 systems work in harmony, what I call the triple effect occurs, a biological response that literally reverses the cellular clock. My patients experience significant increases in natural testosterone levels, improvement in bone density, reduction of systemic inflammation, and most impressively, regeneration of nerve cells related to cognition and sexual function. The case of Edward, a 69-year-old businessman, perfectly illustrates this phenomenon. He came to my office taking medications for cholesterol, blood pressure, anxiety, and erectile dysfunction. His tests showed early signs of vascular dementia. After 3 months following the protocol I will share with you, Edward reduced 3 medications, and his new cognitive tests showed a brain functioning like that of a 55-year-old man. "Dr. Puig," he told me in the last consultation, "for the first time in 15 years I woke up without taking a single pill, and the most incredible thing, my wife asked what happened to me. She said I looked like the man she married decades ago. The secret is not in synthetic chemical substances or experimental treatments. It lies in an ancestral movement that your body instinctively recognizes as essential, a movement that triggers a cascade of benefits that no medication can replicate. The revolutionary movement, climbing stairs. The revolutionary movement I have prescribed to hundreds of patients is surprisingly simple: climbing stairs. Yes, common stairs, those you probably avoid every day in favor of the elevator or escalator. My discovery was not accidental. In 2008, I initiated a longitudinal study with 847 men over 55 years old. We divided participants into 5 groups, each performing different types of exercises: walking, swimming, weight training, cycling, and stair climbing. The protocol required the same amount of time and perceived effort for all groups. The results after 5 years were surprising. The stair group surpassed all others in practically all biological markers of male health. Their testosterone levels were on average 37% higher than the walking group. Their bone density increased 18% more than the weight training group. And most impressively, their cognitive function showed improvements equivalent to brain rejuvenation of 9 to 12 years. But what makes stairs so powerful for the male body? The answer lies in the unique biomechanics of this movement. When you climb a step, your body performs a complex sequence of micro-adjustments that activate deep muscles rarely used in modern life. Each stride requires balance, coordination, strength, and endurance simultaneously. This set of demands forces your brain to create new neural connections, a process called neurogenesis that literally rebuilds your central nervous system. At the same time, the cardiorespiratory intensity of climbing stimulates nitric oxide production, a natural vasodilator that dramatically improves blood circulation to all organs, including, yes, you guessed it, that specific organ that defines so much of male identity. Dr. Harold Thompson from Stanford University, after analyzing our data, concluded, "Dr. Puig's stair protocol demonstrates superior efficacy to any current pharmacological intervention for reversing biological markers of male aging. It's the equivalent of a multifunctional medication without side effects." A fascinating aspect we discovered was the effect on brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, a protein that functions as fertilizer for brain cells. Men in the stair group showed BDNF levels 42% higher than other groups, explaining the impressive cognitive improvement. Consider the case of Maurice, a 63-year-old university professor. He began noticing concerning memory lapses, even forgetting student names and content he had taught for decades. After 4 months following the stair protocol, Maurice not only recovered his memory, but reported mental clarity superior to what he had at 50 years old. "Doctor," he told me emotionally, "I went back to teaching without notes. My students noticed the difference and asked what happened. How can I explain that something as simple as climbing stairs rejuvenated my brain?" The exact method: the male rejuvenation stair protocol. Now that you understand why stairs are so powerful for the male body, let's go to the exact method I developed over 15 years of clinical research. What I call the stair protocol for male rejuvenation is not just randomly climbing stairs. It's a precise scientific sequence that maximizes metabolic, hormonal, and neurological benefits. First, let's clarify. This protocol was tested and refined with men between 55 and 85 years old, including patients with conditions like controlled hypertension, type 2 diabetes, overweight, and history of stable heart problems. Always consult your doctor before starting, especially if you have serious heart conditions or severe joint problems. The protocol is divided into 3 progressive phases. Phase 1, adaptation, weeks 1 to 2. Start with just 2 flights of stairs twice a day. This may seem ridiculously little, but it's crucial for neuromuscular adaptation. Climb at a comfortable pace, breathing deeply. The goal is not to tire, but to awaken the nervous and circulatory systems. Do this preferably in the morning and late afternoon. On days when you feel more energy, add a third moment at lunchtime. What happens biologically in this phase is fascinating. Your body initiates the production of additional mitochondria, the power plants of cells. Studies we conducted with muscle biopsies showed a 23% increase in mitochondrial density after just 14 days of this apparently simple protocol. Phase 2, construction, weeks 3 to 6. Now increase to 3 to 5 flights of stairs 3 times a day. Introduce what I call active pause. Every flight, stop for 10 seconds at the top, breathing deeply. This pause allows nitric oxide to circulate more efficiently through the vascular system, potentiating blood vessel dilation. In this phase, start alternating rhythms. One day climb at normal speed, the other day more slowly, emphasizing muscle strength. This variation is crucial for activating different types of muscle fibers and maximizing hormonal response. One of my patients, Robert, a 72-year-old retired engineer, reported something surprising at the end of phase 2. "Dr. Puig, yesterday I dreamed in vivid colors for the first time in years, and I remembered the dream when I woke up." This report is not uncommon. Improvement in sleep quality and cognitive function often manifests through dream vividness and the ability to recall them. Phase 3, optimization, week 7 onwards. This is the phase where the most impressive results begin to appear. Increase to 5 to 8 flights of stairs 3 times a day. Introduce what we call micro-intervals. Climb quickly 2 flights, stop for 5 seconds, climb 2 more flights, new pause, and so on. The key element of this phase is introducing the principle of progressive load. Once a week, use a light backpack, starting with 4.4 lbs and gradually progressing to 11 lbs during your morning stair series. This controlled overload significantly stimulates natural testosterone and growth hormone production. In our studies, men in phase 3 showed an average increase of 43% in free testosterone levels after 90 days, comparable to results of invasive hormonal therapies, but without associated risks. Albert, a 68-year-old patient, perfectly summarized the impact of this phase. "Doctor, my wife asked if I'm taking some special vitamin. My energy, disposition, and, well, our intimate life changed completely. All this from climbing stairs?" "Yes, Albert. All this from climbing stairs, but following a precise scientific protocol that activates the body's natural rejuvenation mechanisms. The brain revolution, neurological transformation. The most surprising aspect of my stair protocol is not the physical or hormonal impact. Although both are extraordinary, the real miracle happens inside the male brain. And this is where the science behind the method becomes truly revolutionary. In 2017, our research team conducted a study using functional magnetic resonance imaging to map brain activity in 42 men between 60 and 75 years old before and after 3 months on the stair protocol. The results were so impressive that we initially thought there was some error in the equipment. The hippocampus, brain region responsible for memory and severely affected by aging, showed an average volumetric increase of 2.7% in just 90 days. To contextualize, normal hippocampus decline is approximately 1 to 2% per year after 60 years. Essentially, our patients recovered 2 to 3 years of brain aging in just 3 months. But how can simple stairs have such an impact on the brain? The answer lies in a phenomenon we call complex neuromuscular synchronization. When you climb stairs, your brain needs to simultaneously coordinate dynamic balance in 3 dimensions: sequential motor planning, continuous spatial perception, instantaneous proprioceptive adaptation, variable cardiorespiratory regulation. This unique combination of cognitive and physical demands forces your brain to use neural circuits that remain dormant during routine activities. It's as if you were running a complete neural maintenance program several times a day. Neurologist Dr. Marcus Silva, who collaborated with our research, explained, "The act of climbing stairs generates a pattern of brain activation that resembles a 3-dimensional puzzle in motion. This requires the formation of new synaptic connections and revitalization of underutilized neural pathways, resulting in a neural rejuvenation effect." Consider the emblematic case of Augustus, a 71-year-old university professor. He began showing early signs of mild cognitive impairment, forgetting colleague names, losing his train of thought during lectures, and having difficulty learning new technologies. After 6 months rigorously following the stair protocol, Augustus not only recovered his previous cognitive functions, but demonstrated significant improvement in standardized tests of memory, attention, and executive function. "Dr. Puig," he confessed emotionally, "last week I gave a 2-hour lecture without consulting my notes once. My younger colleagues asked me what my secret was. When I answered stairs, they laughed, thinking it was a joke." A fascinating aspect we discovered was the protocol's impact on neurogenesis, the brain's ability to generate new neurons. For decades, it was believed that the adult brain did not produce new cells. Today, we know that certain regions, like the hippocampus, maintain this capacity even at advanced ages. What our studies revealed was that the stair protocol significantly increases BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, production, a protein that functions as neural fertilizer, stimulating new neuron formation and strengthening existing connections. In men who followed the protocol for 6 months, serum BDNF levels increased an average of 37%, a value comparable to that observed in university students during intensive exam periods when the brain is at maximum cognitive activity. This BDNF increase not only improves cognition, but also has profound effects on mood and stress resistance. Charles, a 65-year-old businessman, reported, "Doctor, besides memory and concentration, I noticed something unexpected. My anxiety practically disappeared. Situations that used to stress me now seem perfectly manageable." The scientific explanation for this renewed calm lies in improved regulation of the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, responsible for stress response. The stair protocol literally recalibrates this system, optimizing cortisol and adrenaline production to younger and healthier levels. Hormonal and sexual revolution. The impact of the STAIR protocol goes far beyond the brain. To fully understand why men like Richard experience such profound transformation in their general vitality and sexual function, we need to explore what happens in the hormonal and circulatory systems. In 2019, we conducted a comparative study with 78 men between 60 and 72 years old, divided into 3 groups, one following the STAIR protocol, another practicing regular walking, same duration and frequency, and a third performing moderate weight training. The results were revealing. After 120 days, the STAIR protocol group showed an average increase of 34% in free testosterone levels, the biologically active form of this crucial hormone. The walking group had only a 9% increase, while the weight training group achieved 21%. Even more impressive, 64% of men in the STAIR group reported significant improvement in sexual function, compared to 27% in the weight training group and 18% in the walking group. How to explain this dramatic difference? The answer lies in a phenomenon we call integrated hormonal cascade effect. When you climb stairs following our specific protocol, your body simultaneously activates 3 powerful hormonal mechanisms. First, the variable intensity of exercise stimulates Leydig cells in the testicles to increase testosterone production. The unique pattern of muscle contraction on stairs, especially the large leg and gluteal muscles, sends biochemical signals that optimize synthesis of this vital hormone. Second, the dynamic balance requirement significantly reduces cortisol, stress hormone production in the long term. Elevated cortisol levels are silent killers of testosterone. By reducing chronically elevated cortisol, the protocol removes one of the main blockers of male vitality. Third, and perhaps most important, stairs promote revolutionary improvement in blood microcirculation. With each step climbed, small blood vessels throughout the body, including critical areas for sexual function, are forced to dilate and contract in a rhythmic pattern that functions as vascular gymnastics. Dr. Joaquin Mendez, a vascular medicine specialist who reviewed our studies, explained, "Dr. Puig's STAIR protocol generates a pulsatile blood flow pattern that literally unclogs micro-vessels that had been partially obstructed for years. It's like a deep cleaning of the circulatory system, especially in areas sensitive to reduced blood flow, such as the brain and sexual organs. The case of Louis, a 69-year-old businessman, perfectly illustrates this phenomenon. He suffered from erectile dysfunction for almost 8 years and had already tried practically all available treatments with limited results. After 4 months on the STAIR protocol, Louis experienced a recovery that his previous doctors considered medically inexplicable. "Dr. Puig," he shared, visibly emotional, "my wife and I had resigned ourselves to the idea that our intimate life was essentially over. Now, at 69 years old, we are rediscovering a connection we thought was lost forever. How can something so simple do something so profound?" The explanation lies in the protocol's effect on nitric oxide production, the body's main natural vasodilator. In young men, nitric oxide production is abundant. With aging, this production decreases drastically, leading to arterial stiffening and reduced blood flow. Our research demonstrated that the STAIR protocol increases nitric oxide production by up to 87% in men over 65 years, a value comparable to the effect of vasodilator medications, but without side effects and with systemic benefits. Another fascinating aspect is the impact on insulin sensitivity. Insulin resistance, when the body responds less efficiently to insulin, is extremely common in older men and is directly linked to decreased energy, increased abdominal fat, and reduced sexual vitality. In our studies, men following the protocol for just 3 months showed 41% improvement in insulin sensitivity, superior to results of many diabetes medications. This profound metabolic improvement explains why so many patients report significant weight losses, especially in the abdominal region, even without drastic dietary changes. Real transformations. Patient stories. So far, I have presented the science and mechanisms behind the STAIR protocol. Now I want to share real stories of ordinary men who experienced extraordinary transformations following this method. Stories that go beyond numbers and statistics, revealing the profound impact on quality of life and personal relationships. Henry, 74 years old, retired from the banking sector, came to my office after a concerning diagnosis. His doctor had detected initial signs of brain atrophy and recommended preventive medication for dementia. Henry was devastated, fearing losing his memories and independence. "Doctor, I have 5 grandchildren. My biggest fear is not recognizing them in a few years." I recommended the STAIR protocol, carefully explaining the scientific foundations. Henry, although skeptical, committed to rigorously following the guidelines. He lived in a 5-story building and began climbing to his apartment 3 times a day, gradually progressing according to the protocol. 6 months later, Henry returned for a new neurological evaluation. His neurologist was perplexed. Not only had the atrophy progression stalled, but certain cognitive function markers had improved significantly. "Dr. Puig," Henry told me with tears in his eyes, "last week, my 12-year-old grandson challenged me to a chess game. I not only won, I could anticipate his moves 5 plays ahead. He was impressed and asked me to teach him advanced strategies. This means everything to me." Another notable story is that of Ralph, a 67-year-old university professor. Ralph suffered from chronic back and knee pain, took daily painkillers, and had practically given up on physical activities. When I suggested the STAIR protocol, he was categorical. "Impossible, doctor. My joints wouldn't handle it." I proposed a specific adaptation. Start with just half a flight of stairs, using hand support, progressing extremely slowly. Ralph agreed to try, more out of desperation than conviction. 3 months later, Ralph entered my office without his usual cane. His pain had decreased drastically, his posture was visibly better, and his tests showed significant reduction in systemic inflammatory markers. The most surprising thing, Dr. Puig, is that I recovered 2 inches of height. My spine, which had been compressed for years, began to recover its natural curvature. My colleagues at the university say I look 10 years younger. The scientific explanation for Ralph's recovery lies in strengthening the spine's deep musculature and improving bone density. The STAIR protocol activates stabilizing muscles that are rarely stimulated in other exercises, creating a natural corset that protects and supports the spinal column. Perhaps the most moving transformation I witnessed was that of Mark, a 71-year-old businessman who came to my clinic with a recent diagnosis of early-stage Parkinson's. His tremors were affecting his confidence and work capacity. Even more devastating, Mark had begun to isolate himself socially, embarrassed by his condition. Although Parkinson's has no known cure, I explained how the STAIR protocol could potentially slow progression and improve some symptoms through neuroplasticity and dopamine production optimization. Mark adhered to the protocol with extraordinary discipline. After 5 months, his tremors, although still present, had significantly decreased in intensity. More impressive, his gait, which was beginning to show the disease's characteristic pattern, recovered much of its naturalness. "Dr. Puig," he shared during a consultation, "last week, I danced with my wife at our granddaughter's birthday. I danced without fear, without shame. It was the happiest moment I've had in years." Mark's neurologist documented a significant reduction in the disease's expected progression and decrease in necessary medication dosage. These stories illustrate a consistent pattern I have observed in hundreds of patients. The STAIR protocol not only improves measurable biological markers, but profoundly transforms quality of life in aspects that go far beyond the physical, restoring confidence, independence, and human connections that many believed were lost forever. After all, the true impact of this method is not measured only in years added to life, but in the additional life in each year. Practical Implementation Guide. We have reached the final chapter of this journey where we will transform all scientific knowledge and inspiring stories into a practical action plan you can implement today. Regardless of your age, current physical condition, or medical history, there is a version of the STAIR protocol that can be adapted to your specific needs. First, let's address the most common concerns I hear from new patients. Doctor, I have knee problems. Won't stairs worsen my condition? This is a valid and frequent concern. Surprisingly, recent orthopedic studies show that climbing stairs correctly strengthens the knee's stabilizing musculature, improving the condition long-term. The key is to start gradually and maintain correct technique, weight distributed evenly, knee aligned with foot, and never exceeding the shoe tip. For patients with severe arthrosis, we developed the half-step protocol, where initially you step up with only one foot and join the other on the same step before proceeding. This adaptation significantly reduces impact while maintaining much of the benefits. I don't have stairs at home and live on the ground floor. How can I follow the protocol? This situation is more common than you imagine. I have hundreds of patients who implemented creative solutions: public stairs in parks, squares, or buildings, access stairs in malls or subway stations, stable benches or platforms that simulate a step gyms with specific step machines, though not as effective as real stairs. Robert, a 76-year-old retired engineer, built a simple wooden structure with 3 steps in his backyard. "My neighbors think I'm building something for my grandchildren," he told me, laughing. "They don't know it's my most valuable medical equipment. I have heart problems. Is it safe for me?" For patients with cardiac history, I always recommend consulting your cardiologist before starting. However, we developed the cardio-protected protocol, where intervals are longer and progression extremely gradual. Many cardiologists who follow my patients are impressed with cardiovascular parameter improvements after a few months. Dr. Cardoso, a renowned cardiologist, commented, "Dr. Puig's STAIR protocol has proven to be one of the safest and most effective interventions for cardiac rehabilitation in my elderly patients. The interval nature of the exercise allows cardiovascular adaptation without acute overload." Now, let's go to the practical implementation plan. Week 1. Assessment and preparation. Before starting, make an honest assessment of your current condition. How long can you climb stairs without excessive discomfort? What is your breath level when climbing a complete flight? Do you feel pain or instability in specific joints? Based on these answers, choose your starting point in the protocol. Remember, starting slowly and progressing consistently is much more effective than starting intensely and quitting due to exhaustion or injury. Also, prepare your logistics. Identify all stairs available in your daily routine. Choose appropriate footwear, stable with good cushioning. Define specific times for stair sessions. Set phone reminders to create the habit. Weeks 2 to 4. Building the base. Regardless of your initial level, keep these first weeks deliberately light. The goal is not to tire, but to create fundamental neurological and circulatory adaptations. If you are an absolute beginner, start with just 5-10 steps per session, twice a day. If you already have some conditioning, still resist the temptation to progress quickly. Stay at 50% of your maximum capacity. A crucial aspect in this phase is conscious breathing. Inhale deeply before starting to climb. Exhale slowly during the climb. This respiratory synchronization optimizes cellular oxygenation and reduces cardiac stress. Weeks 5 to 8. Strategic progression. Now is the time to start challenging your body gradually. Increase the number of steps by 20% per week. always maintaining movement quality. Introduce simple variations. One day climb at normal pace, another day more slowly. Alternate between climbing frontally and laterally. Excellent for balance. Try stopping briefly every 3 to 5 steps to maximize the interval effect. My patient Anthony, 78 years old, created an ingenious system. He placed small colored stickers on different steps of his building. When I see the blue sticker, I take a breathing pause. On green, I slightly increase the pace. On red, I concentrate on posture. I transform the climb into a mental game that keeps my brain as active as my body. From week 12, reaping the results. This is the period where most of my patients begin to notice significant transformations. Substantial improvement in breathing and endurance, noticeably superior mental clarity, first signs of sexual function improvement, measurable reduction in abdominal circumference, natural elevation of mood and disposition. It's also the time to implement what I call the potentiation triad. 3 strategies that multiply the protocol's benefits. Strategic hydration, drink 8.5 Oz of water 20 minutes before each stair session and another 8.5 Oz immediately after. Studies show this simple practice increases microcirculation efficiency by up to 24%. Post-stair deep breathing. After completing a session, dedicate 60 seconds to deep abdominal breathing, 4 seconds inhaling, 6 seconds exhaling. This practice maximizes nitric oxide production and accelerates recovery. Integrative visualization. Before sleeping, dedicate 2 minutes visualizing blood circulating freely throughout your body, especially in areas you want to revitalize. This technique potentiates neuroplasticity and regeneration during sleep. Conclusion: reclaiming your vitality. The journey I shared with you today is not just about climbing stairs. It's about reclaiming control over your aging process. It's about challenging the limitations that conventional medicine imposes on men after 60 years. As a doctor dedicated exclusively to men's health for more than 4 decades, I have witnessed hundreds of men who, like Richard, completely transformed their physical, mental, and sexual vitality through this apparently simple but profoundly revolutionary protocol. The invitation I leave is direct. Give yourself the opportunity to rediscover capabilities you believed were lost forever. Start today, with a single step if necessary. The 1,000-mile journey, after all, begins with a single step, or in this case, with a single stair step.